Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we'll be taking a look through and cleaning up a whole collection of vintage Toucan novels that I picked up recently from that fantastic Eric Gadd collection. Now, I estimate there must be about 50 here, and well, that's more than twice as many as I've been able to pick up in a lifetime of collecting, so we're in for a bit of a treat. So sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay, then, so the first one we've actually got is number 2 here in a rather tatty dust wrapper. But what I have got just to the left of me is my actual collection. So when I visited the Eric Gadd collection with my friend Morris, I did say to him, look, I'll only pick up the books that I actually want, because I bought a small percentage of Eric's collection. So I had my list of Toucan books that I I had them on me, so I tried to pull out the ones that I was missing. So there is in actual fact my normal regular copy of number 1, so there isn't a spare one of that, but we are then on to book number 2, which is Trouble Brewing. And this one, because the dust wrapper is virtually falling off, I am actually going to remove this one from the wrapper and store it separately, simply because it's so fragile. It's not really enhancing the book in any way. In fact, it's quite a bit of a detractor. So obviously I'll save it, because, you know, who knows when I'll ever see another one. But I don't want to keep it on the actual copy of the book that I've got. I will say that Toucan books perhaps aren't the best made books. They're part of the Hutchinson pocket novel library. This one's got a little 25p in, and they're sort of cousins to, well, Hutchinson pocket novels, and they're cousins to Jackdaw Library and the Crime Society. I do have a bit of a soft spot for them, though. I really do. And in all the years I've been collecting paperbacks, I've only ever amassed just under 20, and I've been really on the lookout lately for them. Of that 20, there was one services edition that I was really pleased about, although in this collection there are quite a few more. Whether I've got them all, I haven't checked against the spreadsheet yet, which has been provided to me by Al of Paperback Revolution. So I'm going to have a look, but I don't think there's anything on there that we didn't already know at least existed, even if we hadn't actually seen a copy. So, well, look, that's that. Now I'm going to need to re-glue a little bit of the spine there, but let's just have a flick through. Yeah, so I'm going to put just a layer of glue in there. Now I use bookbinder's glue, as you probably know if you've seen any of these videos before. Here we are. And it's pretty good because it dries clear, which is what I love. And it's fairly controllable. I mean, a bit like a Pritt stick. It's easier to apply, of course, in this bowl. It's not so cheap, so it's about £8 a bottle. But looking at the amount of books that I repair every year, which is, you've got to say, quite a bit, I am still on my first bottle, and it's about almost 2/3 of the way down now, so it's getting there. That is a particularly stubborn spine there. It's not that bit's not gluing in very well. There we are. Now, there's a tiny bit at the top of the spine there. You'll see it needs to be sort of pushed in. That appears to have already been glued, so I'm just gonna. I use a micro screwdriver sometimes just to hold the bit up, but this is a case of it's 2-ply again. So I'm going to need to put a blob of glue in to begin with. Let's take the end off there. Just pop a blob of glue on there. Which should hopefully be enough just to put the first bit down. Like that. There we are. But then it needs another bit of glue on top to put the actual more coloured piece of the spine in, such as what is left of it, which isn't a lot, but there we are. So we've sort of patched it up as best we can, really, but that's okay. said down the bottom here, similar situation actually, just needs a tiny bit of glue. I'm just going to pop a bit on the end of the my micro screwdriver here. Slide that in there. I don't think that's quite enough. I'm going to need to put a blob on. So it's a really, really windy day today, so much so that the door of the studio is actually, which is in the garden, is actually banging a little bit. Sadly, there's nothing I can do about that. I've got a really good bolt on it, and it's bolted as much as I can. So that's repaired as best I can, that one. And what I'm going to do, these will need a brush. So I'm going to leave that until I've got about 4 or 5 to do, and then I'll brush them all at once. Sometimes you get a better brush if you do them all at the same time. So this is number 3, once again, with the remnants, the 2 end flaps of a dust wrapper. So I shall put them to one side. I definitely want to keep them, but I don't want to keep them with this copy of the book, because I just don't think it's going to, well, it's not going to do anything. I suppose I could actually slip them back inside once I've cleaned it, so I'll probably do that to keep it together. But I do have like a shoebox which has got all the dust wrappers in that are a bit tatty, and I just fold them out so that they lay flat. So if I should come to actually sell the books, I've got them to hand. That didn't quite take it all out, believe it or not. These early Toucan books, the paper quality is actually pretty good. They're quite thick paper. Obviously, the closer we get to the Second World War, the paper quality goes down. There we are. So that's absolutely fine for number 3. I said we'll leave that there. We won't do the brushing yet because I want that spine to repair itself. And I just realised that is actually a double, so I did end up doubling up on number 3, but that copy there, this is my existing one, seems worse condition than the one that we've just done. So that is actually a spare. So I'll pop that to one side. I do have at least one spare of a service edition as well, which is quite good, but my existing service edition was better than the one in the collection. I just want to get that in as neatly as possible. There we are. So that'll still allow us to clean the top. So yeah, so it actually did have a double then. Right, number 4, the Purple Rock. The colour scheme does change as well over time. Now this one's actually still in its wrapper, so this is beautiful condition, considering. Even there, look, bottom of the spine, it's like almost like a design flaw, isn't it? So look at that, the book literally just stands up. So we only need the tiniest dot. We'll squidge that in and squidge the end out like so, just to stop that getting caught. See, that is what you want. That is a beauty, isn't it? Look at that. Very, very nice. I wonder if these are dated at all. Probably not. They just don't tend to do that often, really, in these sorts of books. No, they just say 30,000. Little list of them on the back. Very reminiscent of the Collins books, where they print the books on the back. And the Hutchinson Library, of course, because that's where these are ultimately coming from. And this back has got a bit of dust on there. Now, I had a look. I haven't actually got a list of all the Toucan books, but I suspect that we've virtually got them all. I'm not so sure about, there's a little run at the end which I've got a question mark over them. I'm not sure about that. So now we come to number 5, which is a slight departure because the colour's changed. It's this green colour now. And once again, this dust wrapper is not quite all there. There's the other part of it. Mops by Oliver Sandys. So I think to keep that as nice as possible, I'm going to pop it with the other dust wrapper, and I'm going to put that to one side, and I'll just have it on the shelf without a wrapper, this particular one. It's okay, so it's got a little 10p in the corner here. Got it. That's also coming away. So I'd like to get some glue into that trench of the spine here. When you think these books are, once again, they're over 80 years old now. So all we're doing is preserving them as best we can. There we are. I quite like the green colour scheme, actually. It wasn't going to be that. That was, so really you've got obviously white underneath, but then the green and the yellow. Very, very similar to the Guinness logo. But that would not last, because that was expensive to produce like that. Here's number 6, Tesha. And this one's in a wrapper, but the wrapper's on the face of it. Okay, look at that, it's complete. So we'll take the wrapper off, because underneath you can see that it's coming away again like the other ones. Evidently a little design flaw. The glue just hasn't held out on these. You find that with the early Collins white circles as well. I suspect I'll have much gluing to do on those when I eventually get to them. There we are. Now we need to get glue in the trench again. Completely come away there. There we are. Now, one thing you will notice with the Toucan novels is that the authors that were published in Toucan are hardly the most memorable ones. You might recognise one or two, but they did actually publish a Maigret by Simenon, if you can believe it. And they describe Simenon as like the Edgar Wallace of France or something, something ridiculous like that. It's a really, like, you know, you think, what on earth, like. But that was the rare one, and it is in this collection. I didn't have it. It is in the collection, but it's the worst one. It's all taped up. So when we get to it, I don't know if we're going to be able to save it. I mean, we're going to save it, but I don't know if we can improve it. Let's put it that way, you know. But there is, the Maigret is included, which was like, wow, how cool is that? It's interesting how this has got, in fact, a lot of these have got damaged in the same spot, even when they've been in a dust wrapper. Yeah, they're not playing ball very well, but I think that's about as good as we're going to get it. But it is in its wrapper, which is at least something. Now, in actual fact, I'm going to carefully get my brush here, and I'm going to carefully brush this top edge, and I'll do those other ones now as well. It's very dark, isn't it? Yeah, I just thought that particular one did need some extra attention there, because it was just so dark. I'm going to do these other ones now as well, just a couple at a time. So much dust and dirt coming off these, it's incredible. Right, I've just adjusted the camera, so hopefully you get a better view now. So this is number 7, so I've got the first 6 over there now. And I'm just filling in my own copies as we go along. And if I have got the odd double, like we've had 1 double so far, I'll put them to one side because they can go into my swaps box. Look at that. The Shake of Montmartre HME clamp. Yeah, that's okay. You can just see it's starting to come away again, so I'm going to put almost like every single one, isn't it? Everyone's coming away. Doesn't need a lot, it just needs a bit. I don't know officially, I haven't researched, I don't know officially when dust wrappers were stopped on these. And as I said, I don't think I couldn't find anything online, an actual list of the series and what was published. So this is that was number 7, so I've actually got from my own collection number 8 and number 9. Number 10, I see I have actually got the copy from the collection and my own one. And my own one here looks lower grade. It hasn't got its dust wrapper and it's spine rolled, so that will be a spare of number 10. And this one here from the collection is going to be the one I keep. So let's just take it out of its wrapper. Yeah, that is actually really, really nice, that one. What I'm going to do, I gave that one the brush there because I don't like to brush them when they're actually in their wrapper, because you could brush the top of the wrapper, which is not a good thing to do, even if I'm careful. So I've done it beforehand, and that can go there. And since we only had the other one, I might as well do that one as well. Very darkened spine here on this one. A darkened top rather, not darkened spine. Unfortunately, the weather conditions does not allow me to do this outside, which I would have ideally liked to have done. So I shan't be doing all the Toucan books that we've got to do in one hit. I'm going to do about half of them today and come back and do the other half tomorrow morning. It may also be slightly less stormy. There we are. So that's 7, 8, 9 and 10. So that's the first 10 done. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I've got no gaps so far, so that's good. And then we've got number 11, which is Butterfly Wings. Margaret Peterson. 20p? Nah, 10. Yeah, so over the years, I've collected vintage paperbacks. I've only ever had a handful of Toucans. And I have, been really, really looking for them lately. And even then, I only had about a dozen or so, maybe slightly more in my collection. So, and one Services edition, which I loved. So, to be able to get so many in one hit once again was just fantastic, really, absolutely fantastic. So that one's absolutely fine. Brush it as we go. I will eventually go back and bag all these, but since my other ones are bagged, I won't do a special bagging episode. I'll just go ahead and get these bagged. Okay, so that's number 11. Now number 12 I already had, so that's not included in the collection. Although in a way I wish I'd picked them all up now so I could have compared the best copies, but I didn't want to be greedy. Plus there was the issue of space as well in the collection. I didn't have room to just pick up anything I wanted. I had to be careful because I only had limited boxes. But here is number 13 in the Toucans. A Cuckoo in Harley Street. Oh, look at that. Someone's been doing their sums. And it's been done in pen inside the book. So there's nothing I can do about that. Look. But I can re-glue the spine. They all seem to come away, don't they, in this top bit here. Very interesting. It's a peculiarity of these early Toucans. Must just be the way that as they get red, the spines just start to come away. Certainly the paper quality isn't as good as other publishers. It's just not. It's not like a Penguin. The Penguins of this period were beautiful. But they're still not bad. There we are. Number 13. Unlucky for some, okay for us. 14 then is Courtship in Kenya. Nora Strange. Bottom of the spine coming away there. See, big thick paper. Little 30p in this one. I have found a couple of Toucans at boot sales before, historically. So out in the wild, you could say. A lot of people don't collect them at all. They don't rate them at all, and because they turn up so infrequently, I don't know anybody else who collected them or collects them. So it was good to see Eric had a run of them. I suppose we shouldn't have been surprised, really, because he collected virtually all the British publishers. He didn't collect much foreign, though, so there was no Touch Niche. There was a dozen Albatross only. There was no Zephyr editions, which I was really hoping to find some of those, because that's a series I've sort of fallen in love with quite a bit. His old Zephyr. I find them hard to turn down. I'm just wondering if already we're actually at the period where they've dropped dust wrappers. I just don't know. I don't have the guide or a guide to these. I don't think one's ever been produced. The chap called Richard Williams, and I'm assuming he's still around. He did the ultimate sort of paperback guides for many, many years, and Eric would often be listed as like a contributor, like a consultant. Where Eric's evidently checked his own collection, which was obviously extensive, so that the bibliography could be put together. And I am sure I've got one somewhere, at least for the Collins. Maybe not for Collins Crime, maybe not for all Collins, but possibly just Collins Crime, which in itself would be quite useful to have. But that's number 14. Let's brush the top here. The numbering does go up to almost 60, plus we got services edition, so I suspect if we have to do lots of repair, that this could end up being quite a long video, but I know you don't mind. But I'm mixing these in with the tail end of the Penguin Collection videos, so it keeps it interesting, it does need a bit of variety sometimes. I think. There we are. So that was number 14. Now 15 here, The Screaming Gull. This one looks like it's been fairly well read. Certainly some spine damage. Same old place time and time again, isn't it? It's like every single book, it's gone in the same place. This one actually slightly worse than some of the others we've had to do. There we are. I can hear the wind rattling against the side of the studio here. It's a very, very windy day today. I filmed this in a week before Christmas, actually. I'm a day off from work and doing a bit of book repair. Fighting a cold as well. But I don't care. This is the best medicine that you can get, isn't it? Dealing with old books. I love it. I love it. Right, now. Need this bit to stay down. Stay down. There we are. It's not ideal, this. It really, in a sorry old state, to be honest, but it's better than not having a copy at all. And I haven't got another number 15 to choose from, so I want to keep the collection complete. But this will be one of the few that I will actually put on as a upgrade required if one was to come my way, And I've got that with all my series, really. There's always a better copy round the corner. this one's quite spine rolled, isn't it? I don't know if, did we brush this one as well? It looks quite nice. So I'm assuming we did. Nothing's come off in that one. But yeah, this one's certainly been read a few times. The Screaming Gull. So that's about as good as we're going to get it, I'm afraid. Which isn't bad. I mean, it's okay. And I'll pop all of these in a bag eventually to give them the best possible protection. Right, number 16, High Pressure by Joan Butler. This one looks a better nick. Yep. 15p. There we are, and it does once again require a tiny bit of glue. How interesting and how consistent that each book in this series, the glue seemed to die out. It must have been the manufacturing process. I said there are little periods in Penguin history, like in the 40s and the 50s, even in the 60s, where certain runs of books at a certain period of time from a certain printer, all of them used a glue which hasn't held up, and the books have come away from the actual covers and need re-gluing. Really, really unusual, but it is a phenomenon that does exist, and evidently these toucans were part of that. There we are. Of course, as I said, I'm going to be doing these over a couple of days, so it'll give the glue chance to actually dry out properly before they're bagged up. Now, this is interesting because it's number 17. It's Edgar Wallace, which is a great author, but look, it's actually in a dust wrapper, so we can only assume that these other ones that we've seen here, all of these would have been published with a dust wrapper. I take the cover off. Look at that on the back. Toucan novels in association with John Long, which was another little imprint. I'll keep this. That dust wrapper is actually really nice. Even though it's missing one flap, the first flap, I'll pop it back on when we've actually finished cleaning the book. And I am particularly pleased because Edgar Wallace is one of the better authors, the more well-known authors that Toucan published. And I'm glad to see that this one's actually in really nice shape. The May Grey Simenon is not, it's not, I can assure you. But once again, delighted just to have a copy of the Simenon in all honesty. But yeah, prior to this video, I didn't actually read much on the Toucan line on the Paperback Revolution website. But as I said, because I'm doing it over 2 days, this video that is, I will read up on it. When I come back tomorrow morning to finish the video off, I'll might be a little bit more knowledgeable on the old Toucan books. Not that there's a lot out there to learn. It just isn't. A lot of it is just sheer conjecture, you know. What the handful of collectors who collect these has put together, really, you know, which is not a lot. Not a lot of info. Except to say, you know, they were part of that Hutchinson group. And you have to wonder why Hutchinson put out so many different series. If they'd have just stuck to one, they could have done one really good. But they seemingly wanted to try loads of different experiments, as it were, you know. Now, this is interesting because number 18, the formula, I have also got my own copy of the formula, but it's pretty ropey. Look, it's a tear on the front. It's got spine roll and wear, whereas this one is in a tatty dust wrapper, But I suspect underneath, yeah, tatty dust wrapper again, missing that first flap. So we'll pop that over there. But the actual book underneath is better than my own copy, so this will be the one I'm going to keep. And I'll put my other one. So I did have a few doubles in the end. I said I know I've got at least one service edition as a double. A Joan Butler. But the service edition I've got, I think, is a better copy than the one that came in with the collection. So I'll probably keep the one I've got. Yeah, it's a little bit grubby, even though it was in a dust wrapper, but it was still better than my own one. At least the spine's actually intact. Yeah, or rather the book hasn't come away from the spine, so very dusty. And not a lot of that's coming off, actually. That could well be soot. So one of the things you have to remember, of course, is when these books might have been on the shelf in a living room or something, chances are they would have been near a coal fire. And that, combined with virtually everybody smoking, meant that the books consequently got very, very dusty and or yellow and horrible spines and that. So they didn't just go through the wars, they went through the rigors of being stored in a 1930s home, you know. So next one we've got then is number 19, which is Ragamuffin. Look at that, it's got a big 10 on, which is a shame. I don't have another copy of this, so Ragamuffin it is. Once again, they seem to have sorted the spine out on the last couple. There is literally nothing to do on that except brush it. So that is what we shall do. Lots of dust coming off it there. So I shall let this dust settle overnight, I can tell you that. So that's number 19. And number 20, I actually had a copy of that, Chicane, in a dust wrapper. So nothing to do with that one. I also had a copy of 21, Reluctant Sinners. Quite a nice one as well, by the look of it. I did not have number 22, so that one's missing. But then the next one from the collection is number 23. So that's the first one we're missing, which is number 22. Clacking Shuttles, Florist Bone. Well, I'm sure. I was going to say, I'm sure I recognise that. And here it is. Look, I've got Clacking Shuttles. So it's there. So number 22, I have got 22 Clacking Shuttles. But that, to me, looks like it's a reprint. So I've got 22, but it's a reprint. Interesting, because it's a different sort of design. So I'm going to put it in there anyway. So 22 is a reprint. Interesting stuff. And that is then number 23. The numbering, the books seem to get scarcer as you go along. And I think that's because we get closer to the Second World War and they become more fragile and, you know, perhaps just didn't have the print runs. Here we are, the Terror of the Torlands. So nothing to do on that one. But all right, do that. So when I come to edit this video and I put my Toucan bibliography together, the ones that I upgrade, I mark as upgrades. And I shall be marking number 22 as a reprint, because that's not the correct one. So it does, because it's got a different back and that. So it does show. It pays to keep an eye on these things. Anyway, that's just a touch under halfway, and I'm going to call it a day there. And I shall be back tomorrow once I've done a bit more research on these. Okay, so it is the next day, And I have to say, my cold has probably got a little bit worse. So I'm going to see how I get on, and I might have to abandon it and come back on Sunday if I can't manage it anymore. But I have been researching the Toucan books. There's very little online. There's a couple of blog posts, one on the Paperback Revolution website, and there's one on a vintage paperbacks blog. And there's slightly conflicting information, but basically they say that there is 62 books in the main numbered series. Then I think there's about 6 or 7 services editions. But the series after the numbered ones did carry on with a few unnumbered books, which I have got, but those seem less well documented, if at all. And there were a couple of books that came out even later than that, also marked as Toucans, but probably weren't part of the actual series. So there's definitely some confusion, but hopefully with my decent run of these, I'll be able to add to the story. So that one's okay, it doesn't need any spine regluing. Oh, what's this inside? An insertion. Sorensen and Company Limited, 49 Tooley Street or Foley Street, London. Presented by Mr. Oh, that's unusual. It's like I wonder what Sorensen and Company were. I wonder if they were booksellers. An unusual insertion, shall we say. And then I think I'm going to put this one back into its wrapper, even though the first flap is detached. It's okay. It does actually give me the opportunity to show you this. So you could bind up your paperbacks during the war into like a more permanent hardback form, and you cut that out and stick it on the spine, because the spines were generally plain. So quite a nice little relic that, but that one will be okay once it's bagged up. It'll keep it sort of in place, as it were. I won't put the little card in. That'll be one to have a little look about, research that one. Now that's all the red ones, and then number 25. Oh, is this one? Look, I've actually got a copy. This is my original one, very, very fox there, as you can see, but that's my original one. So that one would go in there. And then number 26 is this one, Murder in the Senate. So yeah, number 26, there we are. And one of the big problems with these, in fact, this one actually does say it, is this one says, reprint thus, question mark, 1940. The printing history of these, like a lot of the Hutchinson books, is very convoluted. Sometimes they just say it's like the 26,000th or something like that, you know. But this one, it is interesting to think that these Toucans actually did have some reprints, but it does look like they did. Even some of the services editions were reprinted, but I don't think that's the case for the Toucans, but certainly like some of the Collins services editions actually had reprints, and I think some of the Guild ones did as well. They had sort of narrow editions, and then they had slightly wider, almost digest size services editions. Yeah, it didn't really want to come off that, did it? But anyway, I'm not too fussed about reprints or first. I just want a copy of each. It's absolutely fine with me. 27 here. £1.50 inside. Don't want to put all that back onto the book, do we? So there we are. It's not so windy today, thankfully. It was really windy yesterday when we were filming. This is all in the run-up to Christmas week, which is next week as I film this now. Although this one won't be going out until early January, because I'm a couple of videos ahead on my cleaning ones. But what I'm going to do with this new collection that's come my way, I'm going to intersperse it with traditional penguin cleaning videos, so it does mix it up a little bit. There we are, so that's that one. I said I think I'm probably going to have to finish this video off on Sunday, because I said I'm not A1 today, but I'm okay at the moment. Right, so that was number 27. Here's 28. A Case Dead and Buried. A bit of spine roll on this one. And just a hint of the spine coming away, the cover coming away rather. So I shall re-glue that one. Just in that spot there. There we are. Yes, a bit of spine roll, but it's okay. Evidently a good book. Probably a crime one, by looking at the title. Right, 29. Flowering Death. And that early one definitely was a reprint, because it listed books up into the 40s. Generally speaking, as a guide, if the book that you're looking at only shows up to the book that's been published, or just a couple ahead of it, it's generally the first printing. As a little bit of a guide. $29 that was. The next one in my own collection is till I'm 43, so ages yet. The Crooked Finger, number 30, Angus McVicker. This one's a nice copy and a beautiful dust wrapper as well. That's a real beauty, that one. Beautiful. Look at that. That is an absolutely beautiful example of that one. Probably one of the best ones I've got, condition-wise. It's a shame it wasn't the May Grey. Look at that. That is beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous, that one. So I was having a little look at the Paperback Revolution website, and I'm just reading from that right now. Basically, it says that the Toucan books first appeared in February 1937, so a couple of years after Penguin. And they were part of the Hutchinson group, which we know about. So after Volume 20 appeared in June 1937, there were no new titles for almost a year. Then a small group of titles in summer 1938, but it was not until May 39 that the series really got going again. The main publisher in this second phase was Stanley Poole, though there are also books from Hurst and Blackett and a few from Skeffington and Son. Then it mentions about the colours of the early books changing and the different versions on the dust jackets as well. A little while from around volume 32 onwards, possibly earlier, all of the books were printed with yellow covers. So we can safely say that from volume 25 onwards, all the books are printed with yellow jackets. A little while later, dust jackets were dropped. So looking at mine, looking ahead here, I've got a copy of number 35 in a dust jacket. So definitely a dust jacket at number 35. Oh, in fact, I've got a dust jacket on number 42 there. So there you go. Some volumes, the price started to creep, but some volumes at 7p before wartime economy measures started to kick in. By mid-1940, it was impossible to continue anything like the pre-war basis, and the numbered series came to an end with volume 62. A few more books were published during the war effectively as one-offs, but they had to meet the war economy standard, which meant low quality, small fonts and small margins. I know of 2 wartime toucans at 9p, although there may well be others. So I've definitely got my 9p ones. Well, they're 1 and 6. So that's a 9p one there. So that's a 9p one, and I think these are just unnumbered post-war ones, those ones there at 1 and 6. And that's one 9p one. And Al, who writes this website, says he knows of 2, so that's interesting. Then later, at least 3 books at 1 shilling and 3p. And post-war, there's at 1 and 6, so that's the post-war ones. The books published in the Toucan series have no great literary pretensions, although there is 1 Edgar Wallace and 2 May Greys, which I think is the first time May Grey was in paperback in Britain. And then there are 7 books in the Hutchinson Group series, which were referred to as Toucan novels. So he's got 7 different Toucan services. And I believe I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 there, although I might be missing 1. So 1 to double. So there we are. So that's sort of the history of Toucan in a nutshell. Not a great deal is known about them at all, really. And they are just one of those weird Hutchinson spin-offs that were around at the time, you know. There we are. Nothing to do on that one. So that's your history. That is your history of these. I've always liked them. I just find them really nice, and maybe it's because I occasionally enjoy a drop of Guinness, you know, maybe that's what it is. Although obviously the West Indian Porter is the West Indies Porter rather is my favourite. Right, so that was 31. This is 32. And this one is once again in a dust wrapper. So let's gently take that one out. Yeah, it's missing the flap of the dust wrapper by the looks of it. Yeah, that's okay. I think it's just best to brush these as we go, you know. A little bit of loss at the top there, but overall not too bad a copy. Red-handed. A capital story for readers who like to be set a good problem. So another sort of detective one. I guess the red-handed means caught red-handed, possibly, you know. It's okay. It has actually, I just spotted, got a price inside. 25p. There we are. Right, this one isn't in a wrapper. It's got a ghost. Look at that. So you can see, if we have a look at another book here, you can see that another book was like, it was like that in a pile, and it's been taken away, and it's left that sort of a shadow. Got a 1 and 3 on the front. Sadly, there's nothing we can really do about that shadow. It's just on there. This is one of those ones, Skeffington and Son. Bit of foxing on the side as well. Right. Quite a bit of pencil in this one. Nothing of any importance. There we are, that's got that cleaned as good as I can. Now, yeah, there's nothing really to glue back. It just needs to go in a bag really to keep that sort of flap there from getting any worse. It says 34 here. That can be re-glued there, the bottom of the spine. And then One Dark Night. Pencil in the back of the cover. And in the front. So we get rid of that first of all. I tend to lean the book against another book like that. Someone's shopping list. Terrible handwriting. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess inside there, but we've got it cleaned as good as I think we need to. But I do need to re-glue the bottom of the spine here. That's come right up. That should be a fairly easy repair. The glue has decided to solidify on me while we've been doing the other books. There we go. Quite a delicate little repair, that one. The sooner that book's in a bag, the better, I think, but we've saved it as good as we can. Right, well, amazingly, it's a couple of days since I last was tackling these Toucan books, and the reason for that is because I had a day at work, but also I've been really under the weather, so I had to give it a miss and not do any filming at all. Even now, I'm not quite A1, but I am not too far off it, so hopefully we'll be able to get through the tail end of these Toucan books. Ironically, I have already, if you can believe it, the bits that we have filmed, because I couldn't do a lot else, I have already edited the first bit down, and it comes in at just over an hour. So this one is going to be quite a long video, but at the same time, we're only doing what was needed to be done. So we're going to get these last few done now. And we can put this one to bed, as it were. And this one is in a wrapper. Once again, albeit a little bit rough, but not too bad. So I won't have a complete set of Toucan, but I won't be massively off, which is great news. So that was number 35 rather. 36 I don't appear to have in any form, so 37 is the next one. And we'll take the dress wrapper off here. The yellow viper. And no marks at all in that one. Quite a nice copy of that one. In the wrapper as well. Yeah, thankfully, even though I've been out of action filming wise for a couple of days, I'm usually quite a way ahead, like a couple of weeks or so ahead of the game. So it's not really affected my output like that. This is number 38. Little 50p inside there. that's okay. Got its wrapper, but albeit a little bit tatty. Yeah, a bit grubby, that one, but better than no wrapper at all. 39 is next, the death symbol. Look at the ghosting on that. In a wrapper there. Yeah, just a little bit of glue coming away there. So I'm not sure how good the glue is going to be. It's been, I said, a couple of days since I last used it. But we're okay. Just going to slip a slither in the gap there. The weather's still pretty awful at the moment here in the UK. The biggest problem right now is wind. It's very windy. There we are, so that's 39, quite a nice one of that. Number 40, 5 were murdered. It's good that a lot of these are in dust wrappers actually. Let the binding come out there. I'm not going to cut it off. Just going to tuck it in. Okay, so that was number 40. 41 is lost property. So very much looking the worse for wear, but you know, dust wrapper wise. Underneath, well, we've seen worse. It almost looks like it's been water damaged at one point. And I could sort of believe that, to be honest. But yeah, quite dusty. Some amateur sellotape repair there, but that's been removed before I ever got hold of it. It's still very, very dusty along the top here. Right, so that was 41. 42. Flash of Scarlet. That's a bit clearer. Cleaner, rather. Missing that first. Well, the flap's there, but it's been detached again, as is so common with these. Yeah, just starting to come away against the spine there, so we'll slide a little bit of glue in. Like so. There we are, so that was 42. Now, 43 I did already have, which was this one, thanks to Dr. Molly. So that can go straight in, it's already been cleaned and bagged. 44 was the same, the singing spider. Then 45 here, identity unknown. No dust wrapper on this one. And we may have reached the point where dust wrappers have started to be dropped. Simply because of wartime paper economy and rationing. Which obviously was happening at this point in time. And this is really what affected all these publishers, these wartime ones. It was the war. It was paper rationing. They just couldn't get the paper to print their books. That was the problem. So that was number 45. 46 is this one, Teamwork. Now this one did get re-released later. Oh, look at this. Later on as a services edition. Okay. Glue completely gone on this one, of course. Right. So we'll mainly pop it on the spine here. Now, it's going to be hard because of the way that the book is bound to get a really nice clean join. So I'm just going to put a little bit into the trenches on here as well. And then this one will have to dry itself out overnight. But hopefully the two bits will make a bit of a fine coupling. Yep, I think that's as good as we're going to get that one. So it was number 46. So 47 is the first of the two Maigret. So it's 47 and 48, but 48, as you can see, is in the right state. So we get 47 sorted first of all. So I believe, but I don't know for sure, but I believe this is the first ever Simenon in paperback in the UK. The Edgar Wallace of France is what they describe him. And out of all the Toucan books, this one and the next one are, I believe, the most collectible of them all. So what does this say? First paperback of the Collins' first book to be published in English, 50p. Well, we know all about that, so we don't need that in there. 50p, I suspect, was probably a very, very good price to pay. I don't know what this would go for. Simenon himself is definitely very well read. I don't know how collectible he is, but certainly he has his fans. So I would suspect that this first British is probably quite a nice little collectible. But I've no idea what it would sell for. You'd have to sort of put it on the open market. Not that I'm looking to sell it, of course, but you know. But I believe that was the first time he was ever put into paperback. There we are. Now the next one is going to present much more of a challenge because it's been taped. Now, I have no idea if this tape's going to come off until we actually try it. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, blimey. Well, there you go. Blimey heck. So I suspect that the cover is completely in pieces. But the old tape it has to come off. It's just going to make it worse. Here we go. Look. Dear, oh dear. What a mess, eh? What a mess. I'm afraid this last page has sort of had it. That may have to be sacrificed in the greater good. My goodness. It's pretty rough, this one. Have you ever seen anything like it? My goodness. Well, obviously if this was any other book I probably wouldn't be bothering, but because it's a Maigret, at least we can see the spine now. Blimey, O'Reilly. Now, I don't know. Now we've got 2 bits left. We've got this title page, which I don't really want to get rid of. But we have to get rid of that tape on it. I don't know if it's even possible to detach it. Oh, maybe it is. Let's have a go. Oh, it's crumbling under my pressure to pull the tape off. Yes. I don't know. Oh, well, I'm not really sure what to do with that. I think we're probably better off to keep the book complete. I think those 2 bits could be just cut down and slipped in. So I need to go and grab my scissors. Right. Yeah, I'm cutting these down simply to make them a slightly niche looking bit of paper. I'd rather the pages were in there than not in there at all, but they were all... I think we've done a reasonable job in saving what we could of this, but I think ultimately that's just going to have to go back inside like that, and that one, the last advert page, is going to go like that, and that's really all we can do. So I'm just gonna, we'll put those in at the end, but what we're going to do now is re-glue the spine, and certainly it's going to be looking much better than what it did before we got hold of it, which was literally like, well, I'm sure it looked lovely at the time that they did it. There we are. Similar thing, just putting it into the trenches, as it were, to help it catch. Okay. All right. So very much a salvage job, you could say, on this one, but worth doing because it is such a rare paperback. Who knows when, if ever, I'll ever come across another one. So for that reason alone, it was worth putting the effort in. And I'll slip that first page in there. I said that'll all go dry, so I'm not fussed about seeing a bit of glue there, because that will all dry itself clear, and it will actually end up in one piece. Let's slide that in there like that as well, so at least it's all together. But yes, that is probably as good as anyone's likely to get it, because it was such a dog, and most people would have just thrown that book in the bin. But as I said, because of what it was, being a Maigret, the second probably ever Maigret published in the UK, it warranted saving. And once it's bagged up, it will be looking better than what it was. Another one which isn't in great shape, a massive spine roll here, number 49. Yeah, another one that's in the right old state, unfortunately. Right. There we are. Okay, yeah, unfortunately the actual book itself is quite spine rolled. Shame with all the marks on it as well, but it is what it is. Right, same again. Well, I had no idea that I was going to be repairing and doing so much extensive work today, I have to say, with these remaining toucans. But I don't mind. Well, I think we've glued that back as best as we're going to be able to. There we are for number 49. Now, number 50 I already owned, which was this one, The Monster of Snowdon Hall. So that can just go in the pile. Then we've got 51 here, which is The Slaying Squad. This one's not too bad. Yeah, that's absolutely fine, that one. Okay, that was 51. 52. This Man's Doom. Doom, Captain Mannering. Lovely. Nice and tight copy of that one. '52, nice copy of that. 53, The Wrong Murder Mystery. A couple of turned over pages there, corners rather. Also, that's a really nice copy of that one. It's a bit rough along the top there, actually. H. Samuel, look at the rings there. Wow. Anyway, that was 53. Oh, we're almost at the end here. 54. After Davray died. After Davray died, eh? Got a little 15 inside. Yep, that's 54. And 55, unfortunately, it's got a bit of tape on and is very much in a poor old state. Let's see if we can. It's going to come off at all. Okay, now ideally, if the entire cover comes off, we can re-glue it, but it's not. It's partly off, some of it anyway. Yeah, there we are. Yeah. Old bits of glue that was stuck on and flaked off. Okay, well, that's better than what it was. Let's see if we can sort the actual book out now. So we take off the shilling. And we know it's number 55 because it's in situ. Okay. Right, good to glue. Got some on my bit of board here. There we are. That is as good as we're going to get it. So I shall definitely be keeping it, but it'll be on my master list as an upgrade. So when I'm looking for ultimately a better copy of, but better than what it was for number 55 there. All right, 56, a complete opposite of what we've just done. A really nice tight copy. Not a mark in it. That appears unread, that one. A bit dusty on the front covers, but we can live with that. So that was number 56. 57, 11 for danger. Big 10p inside there. Okay, so a bit of tactical gluing required on the top here. Not the whole spine this time, just a squidge in the top. Should be enough. Okay, same down the bottom here. There we are. Just to stop it catching or getting any worse. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get it any better than that for number 57. Traitor Spy, 58. Bit of a mottled spine on this one. Oh, I can hear the wind picking up. Okay. Quite a bit of writing in there, but none of it anything that we don't already know. So we know when these were published, we know the number because it's on the spine. There we are. 58. Oh, we need to do the top edge, of course. And there is a little bit of gluing by the look of it, just in there. Sounds like the weather's really picking up again out there, which is not fun. But we're okay in here, in the studio. There we are. So that's 58. Almost finished the main run now. 59 is Half Holiday. Another one which is almost come away, but not quite. So we'll glue it in situ. Yeah, not the greatest of copies or anything like that, but you'll have to do. Okay, so we've got just over a dozen to go to finish it. So we're going to finish the numbered ones. Then we've got some that were priced at 1 and 6, which is almost like a second series. Then we've got the services editions as well. So we'll get them all licked, and then we'll be done for today. So quite a long video. And I was tempted to put it out as a two-parter, but I think sometimes it's nice to have a nice long one. Plus this one will be going out over sort of Christmas time when people have got a bit more time spare, which is cool. Quack's Paradise, what a title, eh? Right, 61. The 10 Green Brothers. Tiny smidgen of glue in there. The classic pain point on these books, the top of the spine. So it does look as if number 42 was the last one to be published with a dust wrapper. So that's number 61. Then the last book in the series was this one, number 62, which I already had. It's the last one listed, and it is the last one, numbered one, that ever got published. But then they came back with a second series, which is these, which were published at 1 shilling and sixpence rather than sixpence. So these are definitely later, and this particular one I have got a double of. Ironically, both of them, that's got some scribbling on, and as has that one. So let's see if I can. That looks like it's in pen though. Don't know if I'll be able to get any of that off. Well, maybe it is coming off, I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, looks like it was in pencil after all. So there's less information online about this second series. Evidently, Hutchinson thought to put some books out as Toucans. Maybe the brand was known, but there doesn't seem to be any uniformity to it. No rhyme or reason. It just, I don't know. They just list that Hutchinson and associated companies, and as I said, Hutchinson were an amalgamation of several, a bit like Guild. So I suspect that these later ones are actually a little bit harder to get hold of. So, what's the best looking copy? Well, I think the best copy is the one I've just cleaned up, because this one here is much darker page edges and what have you. So I'll put that as a spare, and this one can stay with the main collection. Next we've got Foul Play Suspected, Michael Halliday, another 1 and 6er. So all these next handful are going to be 1 and 6ers. That's fine, but a bit of glue required down the bottom again. So an actual author who we can recognise, Michael Halliday. And in fact the next one we definitely will recognise, as you'll see in a sec. Right at the top of the spine is where it's bad. Just come away a tiny bit where I glued it. There we are. Yes, you'll recognise the next author as none other than John Creasy, and it's an Inspector West, which is pretty cool. And this one actually looks in beautiful condition. That's an unread one. It's bizarre, isn't it, that some of them exist in this superb condition, yet others are like, well, like the Maigret, fall into bits. That's a real rarity in that condition. I mean, that is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, that's very rare indeed, that one. Murder at the Inn. 30p, governor. Okay. Another John Creasy, No Darker Crime. Not an Inspector West, but still by the big name author. A Department Z story. Cool. Also in pretty nice condition, no marks or anything. Nice. This is the last one in sixer, Prepare for Action, also by John Creasy. £20p in the top. Okay. Then this one, which came out at 9p. Now this may well have come out before the 1 and 6 ones in actual fact. This is the only 9p edition that I've got. It's got a little ad for the Hutchinson Universal Book Club on the back, and I've got a little pile of books which have all got that same back on. So I suspect this may be some sort of weird, not quite a services edition, but one, I don't know, produced under extreme wartime conditions, if you know what I mean. Very, very fragile. It feels like a services edition from some other publishers. It is in slightly rough shape, this one. On the Paperback Revolution website, they mention that they know of one. I don't know if it's this one. So if this was a lone wolf, or if there was any more in the series that were done as 9p. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But certainly it's a scarce one. And one worth preserving as best I can. Crime at Crooked Gables. Wow. Tiny little concertina in the corner, which is really annoying. Of course, my hands are covered in glue, which doesn't give me the pinpoint accuracy that I'm used to. There we are. Unfortunately, it's the same again this side round as well. Let's see if I can do it with a screwdriver instead. They're so fragile. You turn the page back, it almost disintegrates because it's slightly brittle as well. But once again, you probably wouldn't bother unless the book was supremely rare, and this one is. I said there's only a couple of known copies, so there we are. Very, very scarce indeed. Tiny touch of glue on that one. Yes. I don't think we could have done any better on that than what we've done just there. It just sort of needs to go back into a bag now to keep it as flat as possible. But there we are. That's the 9p. Now all we have left is the services editions. Now these are a different colour. It says services editions along the bottom, and it says Toucan novels along the top. Very, very pleased to have these. As I said, I only had one in my collection up until this point. Now I haven't forgotten that we have to brush that one. But what I'm going to do, because these services editions are quite delicate, as was that one, and I'm going to wait until we've got a few, and then we'll brush them all together. So I'll put that in there. That very thin one needs to be in the middle of two books. Now this one's a bit different because it's actually got much stiffer card covers. So that's come up really clean, that one. That's a beautiful copy. Very nice indeed. That's a beauty, isn't it? So if we sandwich those three books together, including the one we just did, and put them like that, we can actually do the top edges a bit easier because they're a bit more substantial, rather than as what individual thin books, you know. There we are. Right. Amazing Spectacles. This one not quite as nice. Tiny bit of glue required in this one. Should be enough. Okay, quite a grubby top and edge, so we'll put that to one side again so we do a few at the same time. The same author, Keep It Dark. This one feels like it's got water damaged at some point in its life. Very, very ripply. Yeah, definitely a water damaged specimen. There we are. Okay. Teamwork. So this is one I actually already have. This is the one I already had. A nice copy of it as well. Little 119C, and that's obviously the one I'm going to keep. This one here is lower grade condition with a bit of the spine coming off. In fact, it is detached completely, so but we can fix it as best we can anyway. We'll re-glue that in a mo. Let's get that 50p out. Okay, put some glue on here. And quite a thin little book, this one. Like like most services editions, I should say, not all of them, but certainly the whole point of these being published was because there wasn't enough paper to go around, so there we are. We'll get a well, I don't think we could do any better than that. Very, very scarce book. And then the very last one, Joan Butler again, Rapid Fire. Well, look, blimmin' it, I tell you what, they've tested us to the very end, haven't they? The very end, the very last book. Wow. So, I hope you've enjoyed seeing these Toucans, these very rare wartime paperbacks getting repaired. Certainly, it was a real treat to get these from the collection, and I've always been a big fan of this publisher, even though the books are a bit mad. They're just fascinating, because you just hardly ever see them. So it's been a real pleasure to try and repair them as best I can for future enjoyment. Obviously, if you have enjoyed today's video, the epic that it is, do please give it the thumbs up. If you've not already, I'd really appreciate a subscription. Just hit that subscribe button, and completely free of charge. It certainly helps out a bit. And believe me when I say I will have many more videos of this to come, with all the books that have come my way lately that are going to need cleaning. Yeah, thank you for watching today, and I shall see you again very soon. Bye.